Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our honored guest. As the Chief Information Officer, it is my responsibility to present to you, the board, what I believe to be the most critical function of our company, which is to be able to use computers to gain market share, to gain the ability to and to proceed in a good sense forward for our competitors, so we can beat our competitors at their game. Now, what I'd like to do is talk about some of the features of what I believe to be a better platform, for the best platform for our computers. One of the things that the Macintosh does is have a consistent platform. Now, not all applications on a Windows PC do that. On a Macintosh, the file menu, the edit menu, they are almost all exactly the same, which means that if we introduce a new application to our employees, they'll be able to use it without having to ask a lot of questions. What it means is that they become their own experts. Once you learn one application, then the others are easy to follow. I talked about this. Now, one of the things that most people have these days is some type of smartphone. More people are buying iPhones than Android devices right now. There are over 30 million iPhones out there. That's the consensus of many people. What that means, and also iPads and iPod touches, what that means is that the employees can now communicate among their different devices and with each other. It's very important because if somebody needs to take some work home, for example, then they can put it on their iPad, they can take it home. They don't need to lug or have a Macintosh at home. If they do, it's even better. And a lot of people, a lot of home users are buying Macintoshes these days. An old slogan that Apple had was the computer for the rest of us. The reason they came up with that, they don't use it anymore, but the reason they came up with that is because they understand that most people aren't technical. They just want to be able to use a computer. Some people just want a computer for email or to surf the web. They just want to be able to do that. They don't want to have to learn how to use the computer. They don't care about the RAM, they don't care about the memory, they don't care about hard drives, they don't want to have to do anything but use the computer. That's one of the things that Apple has done with their Macintosh. They've done incredible work with innovation. They've come up with leading edge technologies that are only copied by Windows in a vain attempt to approach what Macintosh has achieved so far. One of the values, one of the virtues of a Macintosh is its stability. From the very beginning, the Macintosh, the Apple Macintosh, was designed with both a hardware and software integration. That meant that all the software that was designed is designed for a specific machine. Windows, the Windows OS, can be put onto any PC. Not all PCs are the same. So what you end up buying may not be as compatible with the operating system as the Apple OS/hardware will be. Now, when this happens, you get fewer service calls. And because of that, there's two parts of this. One is software. And that means that since the users understand the software, they don't have to call tech support. And that tech support might be my department, it could be the manufacturer, and because they understand it, and it's so simple, and it works so well, there'll be fewer service calls. That means less downtime for the employees, and it means more uptime for the company. As far as hardware goes, because of the standards that Apple holds in building their machines, there's fewer hardware calls. Again, might be to my department, but if a computer goes down, that affects the whole company. In fact, most of the Macintoshes that I what I would like to also make sure that is included in the proposal is that we include Macintosh servers. That is part of, that's the main machine that acts as a hub for the network that our office will have. And as we grow, we just plug more Macintoshes into it. But because of its stability, we won't have problems. Macintosh computers cost more. I know that. I've been a Macintosh fan for many, many years. And yes, I've had to spend more money on my personal computers than if I were to have bought a PC. I know, as the board, it will be a tough decision, but you have to weigh the fact that we're going to spend more initially to buy a better machine that will take less service, that will require fewer service calls, and for software and for hardware. Uptime is mission critical, and the reason this is important is because, and if you look at it the other way, is I talk about downtime, and what that means is, if a computer is down, that means that employee is down. That means you've lost revenues. If you lose revenues, if a computer is down and somebody in the customer service department can't answer a call and answer a question sufficiently, then that means you've lost customers as well. That's not a good thing. The final item of this is opportunity, because whenever a computer is down, whenever somebody is out there that might purchase a product and calls in to make that order to the sales department, but that computer is down, they might have already purchased a product even, and they're calling for a second time. You've lost an opportunity, a serious opportunity to grow the company and help all of the employees personally in their growth, and including the sales department, because they're mostly on commission. And as we all know, what is commission but a fee for service? They can't provide service if their computer is down, can they? Final word. In the long run, it makes more sense. It is more logical to purchase a Macintosh and ensure that we succeed and grow as a company. That is the most critical factor. We could buy cheap PCs. We might get along for a while, but they will not be as efficient, they will not last as long, and they will not provide as much uptime and for our customers as for our employees to make sure that our customers are happy and we get more customers. We're a growing company, so this is a tough decision for you as the board to decide whether you want to spend this little bit extra money. This is one small purchase. The company is growing. We're going to be growing out of this building pretty soon. So we need to be looking at real estate and a lot of other things. But Macintosh, a computer, is something that we all are going to use, including you. And so we want to make sure that this is the most important purchase that this company makes. Now, what I'd like to do is turn it over to you as the board, if there's any questions that you might have that I could answer for the next few minutes. Could you start the timer over again? Yep. Thank you. Yes. You had a question. You said you had a question? You raised your hand. Yes.
What about viruses on the internet?
Very good question. One of the beauties of a Macintosh, and I know it's kind of weird to think it, but because there are so few Macintoshes compared to the overall market, there are fewer viruses that are being written for the Macintosh. There are approximately, I think the latest stat is somewhere around 4.5 billion PCs out there. Of those, the Macintosh makes up about 5%. So you say, well, why should we buy a Mac if everyone else is buying PCs? I've already gone over a lot of those reasons. But again, because of the beauty of that, one of the things that happens is fewer viruses are written. And when you go onto the internet, it's very hard to contract a virus because, again, they're mostly written for PCs, for Windows. More people, if you're out there and you're going to write a virus, if you're a hacker, you're going to want to write something that is malicious to the most extent. And more people have PCs than Macintoshes. So there are antivirus programs for Macintosh, and there are a few malware programs out there. I had one on my computer not too long ago. Downloaded a program for free, took care of it in 5 minutes. Not an issue. Again, it's very stable. It's a much more stable platform than a PC, and fewer viruses. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Do you have any estimate on what is going to be the return on this investment, given that you're telling us that you have greater uptime and less downtime, so that this would then offset the extra cost?
I have more confidence that as a company, we will earn more money because of that uptime, meaning less downtime. It's hard to put an actual number on it because it's hard to tell how fast we're going to grow, given how fast we've already grown and gotten to this point where we actually have a board of directors that are helping make this decision, this purchase decision. Because of at any point that we are as a company, if we're growing, then we're earning more money. And that's the important point. We want to get those revenues in. We want to make sure that there's less downtime for our customers, more uptime for our employees. They can get trained better. They will understand the platform better. They can represent our company better if our computers are there for them. And so it's, again, hard to put an exact number on it, but I would say that whatever that number is, it's going to be higher than if we had a PC system that went down every so often. And especially if we had a server that was a PC and that went down. That would be mission critical. That would destroy our company. That would put us out of business. Once our computers are down, we might as well have just shut the doors, right? We don't want that. Yes, sir. In the back.
Lady first.
Ma'am?
Would you anticipate that we would reduce the number of employees in our IT department based on what you've been saying?
That's another good point. The number of people that we have in our IT department relies primarily on the amount of work that is needed. After setting up a Mac and getting it set up on the network, there is very little to do. Installing new software may be something that a very small group of people can do. It actually can be done from the server and then installed through the server and put onto a computer that way. So yes, I would anticipate that we would need fewer IT department employees because of the purchase of a stable platform. You had a question?
Yeah. If the majority of the market share is dominated by PCs,
Yes.
how can we overcome the challenge of sharing some information probably with customers or with vendors? If you're going to sell some file on some document, how can you make sure that they're going to be able to read it?
One of the beautiful things about the market now is that if you're going to share a document, most documents are multi-platform. Most applications, major applications, have PC and Macintosh versions. For instance, you can have Microsoft Word on a Mac, you can have Microsoft Word on a PC. There's something called Adobe Reader. What Adobe Reader does is it takes a document in any application that you're on and converts it to a readable document on any platform. And that includes Linux, if you've ever heard of Linux. Because there are some software, there's a very small, 0.5% of companies that use Linux. That's not even a factor, but even on Linux it could be read. So yes, it is most applications, most documents will be multi-platform. So that concludes my presentation. Is there any last question before I close? Yes, sir.
Because the platform, the Macintosh, is smaller and it's not as abundant like the PC,
Yes.
how do you anticipate the training for the software embedded into the Macintosh?
As I mentioned before, one of the things that is built into a Macintosh is simplicity, ease of use. Most people, once they learn a basic application, then the next application is a snap. And that goes, unless you're doing something very high-end, like Photoshop, which involves a lot of artistic detail. But most basic applications that our employees are going to use, financial, customer service, sales, very, very easy, very little training involved. Mr. Toastmaster.